Hello, and welcome to Career Infusion. I'm your host, Tracy Kane Lofty. Today's presentation of Career Infusion focuses on the importance of yoga and also how to launch your own business. Career Infusion is brought to you through the Lofty Group, which is a consulting company that focuses on career development and organizational leadership. As such, Career Infusion is designed to empower you to pursue your professional career goals. I am so very pleased to introduce to you Courtney Smith Brown today as our guest. Courtney, welcome.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you for having me.
Courtney is the owner of Shabach Yoga Studios. She will be opening her first location on August 1st in Waldorf, Maryland. An avid runner, Courtney experienced yoga for the first time in 2008, and we have several photos that should be showing at this time. After reading that yoga was a great way to cross-train for marathons, she says that after her first class, the moment that she got up from the mat, she felt overwhelmed by a deep sense of gratefulness. She felt like it was an encounter with God. That sense of gratitude continued to prevail, and 9 years and 13 marathons later, she discovered that yoga was the perfect way to cross-train for life. She continued her yoga journey and completed her 200-hour registered yoga teacher training in 2014 at Spiritual Essence Yoga in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. Courtney is also a certified level 1 Reiki practitioner. She is the creator of Gospel Yoga Flow, a vigorous vinyasa yoga style that incorporates gospel music and scripture with a focus on strengthening the spirit and the mind as much as the body. Courtney is a publisher by profession, a wife, and a proud mother of 2 daughters. Again, welcome, Courtney.
Thank you, Tracy.
So, Courtney, if you could, please tell us really what is yoga? What is your definition of yoga?
There is a lot of confusion out there about what yoga is. And one of the things that I sought to do with Shabach is demystify the practice. A lot of people miss the opportunity to practice because they think yoga is a religion, and yoga is actually a lifestyle. And the word yoga actually means to yoke or to bring together. And in this case, we're talking about mind, body, and spirit. So that's what yoga is. It's a lifestyle.
Okay. Would you say yoga is a form of meditation? Because I've watched some of these videos, and I actually at one time took a course. It was actually only maybe 2 sessions, but it seemed very relaxing, and it was a time to really get inner peace.
And it can be that. I tend to gravitate towards a more vigorous vinyasa flow that's more of a power yoga. But I should back up about what yoga is. When we talk about yoga, most people are talking about the physical practice or yoga asana. And that's when you see the poses, the tree pose on the cover of magazines and whatnot. So that's the physical side of yoga. But yoga is an 8-limb path. And meditation and pranayama is the breath work that you do in a yoga practice when you're breathing in and out through the nose. That's known as pranayama. And eventually, we're moving up the limbs to get to meditation and eventually to samadhi, which is a stage of yoga where you are so deeply immersed in the mental and emotional side of the practice that you are totally separated from the physical. So actually, the practice of asana is to move you towards a state of peace so that you can calmly meditate.
Okay, and there are different forms of yoga. I know I took one time where it was like a sauna.
Yes, that was probably a Bikram class.
That was the one and only time that I did that one.
Okay. And then in that case, the studio was heated to about 115 degrees, and you practice a sequence of 26 poses that you hold for a longer period of time. I teach a vinyasa flow. And it links music to your physical practice. So I like to think of it as a form of worship and moving meditation. So
okay. Yeah. And then how were you actually introduced to yoga?
So I was training for my first marathon having no idea what to do, wrong shoes, training alone, all that good stuff, just the perfect storm to hurt yourself, which is what I did. And I found myself in physical therapy. And I was blessed to have a physical therapist who knew about yoga and suggested to me, you should incorporate yoga into your running. And I thought, okay, but I don't have time for that. I'm a runner. I got to get these miles in. But I was forced to make time. So God said, I need you on the mat. And it took a while because from my Christian background, I thought what I had been told was that yoga was a threat to my spirituality and to my Christianity. So I backed up, for a while. I missed the mark, but finally I was in enough pain and I wanted to run this race badly enough that I'm like, I will try anything to make it happen. And I took my first yoga class, and there was a huge picture of the Indian god Ganesh, the Buddhist god Ganesh, on the wall. But I was like, that's okay. I know who I am and whose I am. I can be in the space and practice. So I went through the yoga practice, sweating and slipping around the mat, having no idea really what I was doing. But at the end, the last pose in yoga is called Shavasana. And when I was laying there in that final pose, I felt so immensely grateful. I knew that I had had an experience with God on the mat, and I knew I needed more of it in my life. And it did change my running life, and it changed every aspect of my life.
So it really did help with pain and
Absolutely.
relieving?
So, that is one of the benefits of yoga. And you'll see time and time again, right? It's all over the news, the benefits of yoga for chronic or acute pain. It helps you with your flexibility and your balance. But like you said earlier, one thing that it helps you with is the breathing and the focus. So the calmer you can be in a situation, right? If you're running a marathon or if you're dealing with an acute illness or pain, your frame of mind has a lot to do with your healing. And yoga can lead you towards that.
Okay. Now, can anyone participate in yoga no matter their weight or?
Yep. And so I have to give a shout out to my guru, Dana Smith, who is the owner of Spiritual Essence Yoga in Upper Marlboro, where I received my teacher training. And she has published a wonderful book called Yes, Yoga Has Curves. And the main focus behind that premise is that yoga is for everybody. And more people in the yogi community are starting to embrace and impart that message. So no matter how old, young, rich, poor, flexible, not flexible you are, yoga is available to you. So yoga really is for everybody. People will come to me and they say, oh, I can't take a yoga class, I can't touch my toes. Yoga is a practice. And so over time, that's what we're going to do. We're going to work together. Yoga, we're going to meet you where you are on the mat, and we're going to help you grow from there. So it might be 8 weeks later that you can touch your toes. It might be 8 years later that you can touch your toes. You might never touch your toes, but your mind frame prayerfully will be the thing that has changed.
Okay. And then I'm wondering, for those that have such a busy schedule, how can someone incorporate yoga practices into their busy schedule?
So ideally, you want to be able to make it to a studio at least, once in the week as a part of your practice, because you want to be under the tutelage of a registered instructor who can let you know that you're in the poses. You need to be properly aligned, your body stacked, so that you don't cause any injury to yourself. So you want to make sure that you're under the tutelage of a yoga teacher who can help you know that you're doing the poses correctly. And then that same teacher can suggest to you a series of poses that you can wake up in the morning and do 20 minutes before you go to work. Or because there are yoga poses that will stimulate your mind, invigorate your nervous system, your digestive system first thing in the morning. So you might want to practice that does those things 20 minutes. And then 20 minutes before you go to bed, if you've had a day where you've been really stressed out or anxious, it'll help you just kind of scale down and prepare your body for rest.
Okay. And then what does a typical class consist of?
So a typical vinyasa class, the style that I teach again would be, we would begin with a meditation. It might be a spoken devotional. That's generally how I present. And then there'll be 5 minutes of pranayama, which is the breath work, where we're trying to bring you into the room and into your practice and bring your focus inward, because we're always outwardly focused, right? So yoga, you want to pay attention to your breath, your breathing. So we're going to spend 5 minutes just trying to get you to quiet your mind.
Okay.
And this, I should say, is in a class that's an hour long. So if we had like an hour and a half, I might spend more time in pranayama. And from pranayama, we would move into some of the easier asanas that just start to open up the back, lengthen the hamstrings, just start to gently warm the body up so that it's prepared for a practice. And then things start to ramp up a bit, right? So my first class, I was surprised that I could sweat like that. I'm like, really? I thought this was going to be stretching and om and all that. Mm-mm. You know, you're going to move, you're going to sweat, and then we're going to possibly move into some balancing poses, and then back down to the mat, and eventually into Shavasana. And Shavasana, most yoga students know and love that pose, right? Because it's the last pose of any class. You've done all the hard work. Shavasana is a state of active rest. And ideally, in Shavasana, that's what you're doing. You know, you're letting your practice kind of sink in. You know, you're meditating on what went well. You're letting go of what might not have, right? Because there's no judgment, right? This is one space where you're not competing with anyone. You're not judging your efforts or anyone else's efforts. So this is just a moment to reflect on what your experience has been.
Okay.
More times than not, people snore it out because yoga can be a challenge, right? So, and it's all good, and it's just a way of, you know. And when you roll to your right and you push up from Shavasana, because I'm a Christian yogi and that's how I practice. What I tell my students is, when you roll to your right side from corpse pose, which is Shavasana, into coming back to wakefulness in fetal position, take a moment to make a decision to push up with a transformed mind and a renewed sense of self. And then I'll feel like I gave you the class that God intended for me to give to you.
Okay, very good. Well, again, Courtney is with Shabach Yoga Studios. She is the founder of it. It will officially launch August 1st in Waldorf, and Shabach is spelled Shabach.
That's it.
And you can go to the website shabachyoga.com and find out more information. Right now, we do want to go over a few tips. So if we could see that slide. So again, Courtney, you've said that anyone, regardless of age, weight, physical ability, can do and greatly benefit from yoga. So again, if you could just quickly go over those bullet points for us.
Sure. So yoga is a practice, meaning you're always going to be growing. Every time you come to your mat, you might find that you are a little more supple and a little more flexible, and ideally a little more open in your mind, so that being able to do a headstand on your first class isn't as important to you. So we're seeking to open you in all areas, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And as I said, it's not a religion, it's a lifestyle. And although I do practice from a Christian perspective, that's really not earth-shattering. I do everything I do from a Christian perspective. But yoga is a lifestyle, not a religion. Yoga definitely helps to build a strong body and, more importantly, a calm mind. Yoga will help to prevent injury, and it can alleviate chronic and acute pain. And the caveat to that is to make sure that you're working under the auspices of a doctor or a physical therapist. If you do have chronic pain, talk to them about what you can incorporate into your daily routine, and more times than not, they will recommend a yoga practice.
Okay, very good, Courtney. We are going to take a quick break. When we return, Courtney is going to show us just a few poses, and then after that, we will talk more about how she launched her business. Thank you. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Career Infusion. I'm your host, Tracy Kane Lofty, with our guest, Courtney Smith Brown, who is the owner of Shabach Yoga Studios in Waldorf, Maryland. So, Courtney, you've told us a little bit about yoga and what yoga is about. And so I thought it would be helpful for our viewers if you could show just maybe 3 or so basic poses.
Okay, sure.
And I'm going to move out of the way.
Okay, thank you, Tracy. Can you still hear me? Do I need?
Well, I don't know.
So I'll tell you what I'm going to show you, and
Okay.
then I'll demo it. So the first one will be downward facing dog. I think most people have seen that. It's like when your body is in an upside down or inverted V. It can be a very good thing to do first thing in the morning to warm up your hamstrings and just get the blood flowing. And then I may use this, if it's possible, to show legs up the wall. It's a nice way to come down in the evening for 15 minutes of meditation. And then I will show you Sukhasana. It's just an easy seated pose that you can use in the morning during morning meditation or for breath work. Okay?
All right, thank you.
So beginning with downward facing dog. So down dog is the yoga pose that everybody and their brother knows, right? You're seeking to work your ankles, your heels down to the floor. When you first start practicing, you might find that you're up here. That's okay. Remember, yoga is a practice, so eventually you're going to get to the point where your heels are here. Your elbows are going to be rotated so they're facing towards the front of the room, and the crown of your head's going to hang really heavy.
So I'm not sure if that picked up the sound or not, but you want to make sure that your head hangs low,
Correct.
and this is the proper stance.
That's it.
And what is the name again of this?
This is downward facing dog.
Downward facing dog.
And you might just want to bend your knees a little when you do this, because it's going to wake up your hamstrings and just kind of get your body, your blood flowing, all that good stuff. So downward facing dog.
Downward facing dog. Okay, I think that one's manageable.
Okay. So that's a good morning.
Okay.
A good morning asana or good morning pose. So I'm going to show you an evening pose. It's called legs up the wall. It's something you can do at the end of your day if you've had a hectic day or not, and you just want to start to relax. It's a great way to take any swelling out of the joints, and it just is a good way to alleviate anxiety and mild depression.
Okay.
So I don't want to kick the camera here, so I might need to go. I'm short enough that, so ideally, you're just going to swing your legs up the wall.
Okay, so she's saying swing your legs up the wall.
Flex your feet.
Flex your feet.
Bring your hands to your belly.
Hands to your belly.
If that's comfortable, or you could also goal post your arms. So I prefer hands to belly. You just close your eyes. If you have an eye pillow, it's very nice. And you just spend like maybe 15, 20 minutes here and just let the day melt away from you.
Okay, so close your eyes for about 15 minutes and just relax.
That's it.
Okay, very good. And one more.
And this is a really easy, simple pose. This is just Sukhasana, right?
Sukhasana.
So you were interested in meditation and that aspect of yoga. So a lot of times when you go into studio, the first pose that a teacher will introduce to you will be Sukhasana. You will start off in easy seated pose. And from here, generally, we use this time for students to set an intention or a dedication for their practice. I personally like to use this asana at home when I'm meditating in the morning. And it's simply like this, right? So you're seated cross-legged. You turn your palms down if you need to calm down, if you need your energy grounded.
Okay, palms down for energy to be grounded.
Palms up if you need to receive energy and be
Palms,
energized.
palms up to receive energy.
And I don't know if you can hear the breath, but when you spend some time in this asana and you're focused on making your breath audible, I can take the mic and I can try to, it sounds like even though your mouth is closed, you're thinking about fogging a mirror, right, with your breath. So your breath is going to sound like this. I hope that's picking up. But the idea is when you can hear your breath it helps you quiet your mind. So you're focusing in on the sound of your breath, and you're able to quiet your mind and calm your thoughts. Bring the mind into obedience.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We are going to take another quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk with Courtney about how she basically has been able to launch her business. Thank you. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Career Infusion, which is brought to you through the Lofty Group, a consulting company that focuses on career development and organizational leadership. We are back with Courtney Smith Brown, who is the owner of Shabach Yoga Studio in Waldorf, Maryland. So, Courtney, I'd like for us to discuss this at this point, really how you were able to launch your business and some of your business strategies that you worked out. Before I go there, I want to talk a little bit though about you do have a gospel yoga, and that is something that you launched.
That is something I launched, I created. After I finished my 200-hour teacher training at Spiritual Essence, I just felt led to create Gospel Yoga Flow because, again, the thing that I almost missed the opportunity to enjoy and experience yoga was because I thought it was a threat to my Christianity. So when I realized, wow, there's real potential here for yoga to bring you into a deeper relationship with Christ, Gospel Yoga Flow was born. And so essentially, it is a vinyasa style class, and it's set to gospel music. And all of the mantras that I offer are scripturally based. And yeah, so it's my baby. It's the thing that encouraged me to go forward with Shabach Yoga Studios, because Shabach itself means to praise. So it's all tied into walking that path that is my Christian path towards yoga.
Excellent, excellent. And I'm wondering, so you are certified.
I am.
And you trained under a mentor, basically,
Yep.
before deciding to launch your own business.
I did.
And so, how have you been able to really, did you put together, a strategic plan first? You thought about what your goals and
Sure.
objectives were first?
So it's funny, Tracy, because so before I got certified to teach, I had a regular yoga practice, and I practiced on DuPont Circle, and nine times
that's Washington, D.C.
Yes, that's right, because we're global. 9 times out of 10, I was the only black person in the class, right? And I thought, we are a stressed out people, right? So African Americans can really benefit from some time on the mat. Why aren't we here? And so I was able to find Spiritual Essence, that Dana has created this wonderful haven that welcomes everyone. It's in Prince George's County. It's the only one. And I thought, hey, there's opportunity for more. I know there are other people like me who would like to practice closer to home. So the opportunity presented itself. I wrote the business plan. I figured there is a gap. I am qualified to fill it. And I just took the steps to move forward and do that. And I tell you, Tracy, that was never really in the plan. I got certified to teach yoga. I taught at Spiritual Essence for 3 years, and I was good with that. And then there was a shakeup in my life, and there was an opportunity to do something different. And I just felt, I literally heard myself say, I'm going to open a yoga studio. I was like, really? Where did that come from? 10 weeks ago, that was the vision. I want to open a yoga studio. And the moment I spoke those words and, I was able to write a comprehensive plan, I was able to find space to accommodate it. And now this opportunity that you've provided, I love how you've already described it as a successful business, right? Because I am in launch mode, and I am launching next month, and I have already seen it as a successful venture. So that's one. You've got to see yourself as successful. I started out thinking, what do you need to break even? What do you need to be able to cover your overhead, your most expensive costs? And then I was listening to The Power of Positive Thinking by Vincent Norman Peale. And one of the business strategies that he put forward was, why would you set up your business to break even? It's like, start seeing your studio overflowing with a wait list. Like, let that be your vision and your goal for your business. So that's what I'm thinking, abundance. And I believe when when Shabach Yoga opens next month, that those things will happen. And I believe that for Spiritual Essence too, because that's why it came out of my mouth. But there's abundance, I believe, for both of us, and I'm excited about the future.
Well, I am so excited for you. And part of Career Infusion is to really empower people to pursue their career goals. And so, you may have a goal, and right now you have a full-time job. But trust me, if you have a passion to pursue another career path, and there is something that you're calling, you will find the time to make the time and make the time. And maybe you start off part-time with your side business.
That's it.
And before you're able to go full-time.
And get your exit strategy in mind, right? Because make up your mind, do I want this to be a part-time thing, or do I want this to be a full-time thing? My vision is for Shabach Yoga to start in Waldorf. I purposely named my company and organized it as Shabach Yoga Studios, LLC, because I see more than one. So that's what I'm
excellent.
claiming. So I
That's
put it out
excellent.
there. And now I'm working on what is my exit strategy from my current employment situation, because this is my passion and I want to dedicate myself wholly to Shabach. So it's like, if that's what you want to do, if you right now are a business owner and you are trying to figure out how to make your side gig your full-time job that can feed your family and meet all your financial needs, start getting your exit strategy, write it out, and work towards that vision. Work your way out of your current situation so you can do what you've been purposed to do.
Right. Now, training and development is huge
Absolutely.
for any profession. I mean, if you want to excel, it's so important that you stay on top of the latest trends.
Absolutely.
So I would gather that even for yoga, even though there are standard poses, there are so many new techniques and methods, and also with just running the business.
Sure.
So are you a part of an organization? How are you staying ahead of the trends?
So the Yoga Alliance is the certifying body for yoga teachers, I believe nationally. And so they present a lot of opportunities for continuing education and for learning about how to open a studio. There's lots of resources. So whether or not you're going to open a yoga studio, whatever your passion is, whatever business type you're going to open, you know, I come from an association background, right? So there's an association for everything. Get educated and make sure that you're talking to people who are doing what you want to do already successfully. Find yourself a mentor and a professional coach. I've been fortunate to have those things in my life and to have the resources to go and learn more about, okay, how do I actually run a business successfully? It's like you said, Tracy, it's about more than having a passion to do a thing. You have to have the education and the skills and the know-how in order to do it successfully as well.
Okay. And of course, marketing is huge
Absolutely.
for any business.
Has to
and
be your second expense, I think.
yes, yes.
You know?
And now you have to have basically alternative forms of marketing, and
Absolutely.
social media is huge. How
Absolutely.
have you been doing most of your marketing?
So the plan is going forward. I will. I've spent the last 6 years of my career in publishing on the marketing side of the business. So God knew what I didn't know 6 years ago. So these skills I have now. So I know in terms of studying the surrounding market. So you know the demographics of your target audience. Are they within 5 miles of your business first? And then how do I reach them? Direct mail, social media, Facebook ads, Instagram posts. I still am building that side of my business, but I know that a social media campaign is key. I mean, you can't, and it's also affordable. It's probably
Yes.
the most affordable marketing tool, and it will give you a really wide reach with very little time and effort. So,
Very good. And where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? I know that you mentioned it's called Studios,
Yes.
Shabach Yoga Studios.
Yep.
So in the next 5 years or so, do you do plan on having more
absolutely,
expansion?
absolutely. I mean, if my will lines up with God's will, you know, I would love to have Shabach east, west, north, south. I mean, a family member said to me, "When are you bringing Shabach to New Orleans?" Very soon. I mean, if that's God's will, I want to take Shabach Yoga Studios everywhere that I can. I have the energy. I think I'm I know I'm the right person to do it. I know this business is needed. I know Shabach's message, Gospel Yoga Flow, has an audience. It's just a matter of me getting it out to them, and I'm excited about what the future holds for my business because I do see that happening.
Yes, I'm excited for you.
I would love to talk about this 5 years from now when I say, oh yeah, I'm like, I thought it was just going to be, you know, U.S., but hey, I'm Shabach Berlin. I mean, I'm ready for that.
Right, right. Now, starting out though, will you be the sole instructor, or you will have other instructors as well?
I will be the sole instructor, prayerfully not for very long. I'm already starting to put out feelers. The good thing about the yoga community is that it's very supportive. And I know a lot of yoga teachers in the DMV, and I'm praying that some of them will be interested in teaching at Shabach Yoga Studio also.
Okay, all righty. And so you are on Facebook.
I am.
And I know that many of our viewers will want to follow you. So how can they find you online?
So I am Shabach Yoga Studios on Facebook. So if you just Google, actually it's just Shabach Yoga. So if you just go to Facebook and in the search bar type Shabach Yoga, you'll find our Facebook page there. The website is shabachyoga.com, and there are links to our social from my website as well. So they can find me both ways.
Okay. And one last point that I do want us to discuss, and that is just the importance of yoga into a healthy lifestyle, and that, everyone has such a busy schedule that people say, well, I don't have time to exercise, or I don't have time to eat right. And so much is just preparation, making the time, making the commitment.
Right.
And so would you say most people should try to schedule to do this in the morning, in the evening, on their lunch break?
Make it easy. So however it can be easily incorporated into your situation, because that, I think, is where we fail. That's where we fall down when we're like, oh, I have to run or I have to practice yoga first thing in the morning. And then when I don't, so I don't for the day. But 20 minutes sometime is better than no time. So whenever you can get it in, get it in. I mean, your health is your wealth, right? So if you don't have time to eat healthy or incorporate healthy practices into your lifestyle, ask yourself, do I have time to be sick and away from my job or my family or those kind of things? So decide what's most important here and just get it in.
Right. Now, have you ever had any challenges, though, with any of your students, with them having challenges in a class? And if so, how did you resolve that?
Usually, challenges in a yoga class come from the student looking at the student to their left or to their right, right? What is this person next to me able to do? Like, this is it might be someone who's coming to their very first yoga practice, and the yogi next to them can just pop up into a headstand, right? And this person is trying that. You're not there yet. You have to walk before you run. So It's just like the message that I always give is that your mat, when you're in a yoga class, your mat is your entire universe. So anything that's happening off your mat, not your concern. It's Tracy's practice. It's Tracy's flow. Yoga is a very personal thing. And your goal is to be focused on making Tracy better.
Okay, well, you are such an inspiration to so many people, and you've really motivated so many people as well. Do you have any final words of wisdom you would want to share with, one, individuals interested in pursuing yoga, and then two, anyone interested in launching their own business?
Sure. So in terms of yoga, put yourself first. If you've been making excuses, if you've been interested, and I don't have time, this or that, again, like we just discussed, just carve out 10 minutes. You don't even have to go, a whole hour practice. 10 minutes a day where I might just come in a downward facing dog, the pose that I showed earlier, and just bend my knees and just start to invite flexibility into my body. And then you'll see how good that feels, and you will want to do more. So start there, start small. In terms of opening your own business, what is it that you're passionate about, right? What is the thing that you would do day in, day out, 12 hours a day and not get paid for it and be happy doing that thing? And once you identify what that thing is, then decide, am I qualified to do that thing? Right? Do I have the credentialing that it takes to be able to offer this service or this product or this practice, whatever it is? And if you can't come up with the answer to that on your own, seek God. Sit in Sukhasana, the pose I showed earlier, and spend some time in meditation. Ask God, what is my gift? Identify your gift. It will undoubtedly link to your purpose. And if your purpose is to be a business owner, then that too will spring forth.
Okay. Thank you so much, Courtney. And again, Courtney is the owner of Shabach Yoga Studios, which is launching August 1st in Waldorf, Maryland. Again, Career Infusion is brought to you through the Lofty Group, a consulting company that focuses on career development and organizational leadership. So we actually give presentations throughout the country to all different types of organizations, whether it be sororities, fraternities, churches, colleges, associations, etc. We give presentations focusing on career development and organizational leadership, as well as executive coaching as well. And the Lofty Group can be, for more information, go to theloftygroup.com. This concludes this presentation and this interview with Courtney Brown. Again, thank you.
Thank you, Tracy.